All right, good morning, guys. All right, it's good to be back. We had a nice little trip, had a good time for the most part. No, it was a really good time. It was good. I've got to say though, like the longer that we live in good old Horse Branch, Kentucky, the more I'm like, man, I just want to get home. Like, again, it was good, but like I miss my bed and like my routine and my stuff and my space, and I just it's nice to be back home. Um, yeah. It's good to be back with you guys. All right, so um, I got to give y'all a heads up on a couple of things, okay? Y'all took the clock down, all right? It was not me. Y'all took the clock down, okay? So I am not going to be offended today if you need to get up early before I'm done and leave, all right? I mean, I'll be a little offended, but um, we are going to start something really, really important. Um, well, actually, what's his name, Jared? Jason? What's his last name? Guy that gave us the book. Yeah, I did. Yeah, guy with the ugly dog. Um, he comes every once in a while. He misses a lot, but yeah. So this guy at Breaking Chains gave me this book, and it was called "When People Are Big and God Is Small." And I don't know if y'all know this. I hate reading books. And he was like, "Man, I don't know if you like to read or not." And I'm like, "No, not really." But he gave me this book. Guess when? Right before we go on vacation. So like the 1 week out of the year that I'm going to be sitting on a beach with nothing to do, like okay, God, I get it. So I skimmed through some of this book. Some of it was like, yeah, I know this stuff, and the stuff that like I needed to read, I really slowed down. And this guy spends a lot of time, oddly enough, in the book of Hosea. Um, in my opinion, of like all of the prophets in the Old Testament, it is like the biggest um, underrated book in the Old Testament of the prophets. It is such a good book. And like immediately when you hear something that's Old Testament, you're like, what? Like, oh, you know? Let's be honest, guys. Like, oh, man, I'm having trouble sleeping. Let me read the Old Testament real quick. That'll put me to bed. All right. But when you read Hosea and the way that we're going to try to do it, I hope I can bring this to life because you're like, okay, Will, this is either going to make or break you. Okay. I'm going to show you the future. These are the next 6 or 7 Sundays, Lord willing, if we're still here. And if you don't like one of these topics, just don't come. Okay. But if you like what you're about to hear, if you like what you're going to see, you need to come back. All right. So here are the lessons for like the next 6, 7 weeks. And believe it or not, it comes from an Old Testament book that's thousands of years old that you're like, there's no way it relates to today. And here's what we're going to talk about. Today is when the world looks tasty. When the world looks real good. All right. Next week, Lord willing, when the world's food just doesn't fill me. Y'all ever experienced that? Okay. Then it is when God moved from anger to sorrow to mercy. The next one is when God becomes more than just a name. Like more than just like, do you know about God? Like, yeah, Lord. Yeah, I know his name. No. Like, are you familiar with him? Right? So, do you have a relationship with him? The next one is when God is my faithful father. I don't know everybody's background in here, but I know some of you. Somebody in here has got to have had like a terrible dad, you know, and somebody has got to be like hurting, like I just didn't have a loving father. Well, we're going to spend a whole lesson dedicated to what a faithful God we serve, what that looks like. And I don't want to give it all away, but it's like the first time that you slip up, he is not leaving you, okay? Because he took us with our mistakes. Like he knows that's a part of the deal, okay? Then there is, so the red is like what it's like to be lost, right? The blue are 3 lessons on what it's like to be saved or to be becoming saved. And the green are 2 lessons on, okay, I'm saved, so now what? When I reciprocate steadfast love in the home, like I've experienced the steadfast love of God. What is steadfast? The consistent, consistent love of God. And you know what? That was while we were what, Josh? While we were still sinners, while we were enemies, he did what? He died for us, right? That's steadfast love, not based on if you're a good servant to me, I will love you. If you're a good child and do what I say, I will love you. Is that how it works? No. While we were enemies, okay? So when I start to have steadfast love in the home, I will love Kelsey as long as she's good to me. How long is that going to last, guys? Man, you imagine those vows? Like, and richer, not poor. And good health, not bad health. I ain't paying for all that. Through the ups and not the downs, just the ups. No. How does this relationship? So when I've experienced the steadfast love of God, that needs to come home with me, and how I raise my children, and how I treat my spouse, and how I am as a child to my parents. Okay, and then when I reciprocate steadfast love in a world of darkness, which the basic point of that is same thing. You can't go looking for people that look like they're good candidates to be saved. They look like they deserve to be saved. Who do you go for? God so loved the world, He gave His Son for who? For the world, the whole world, everybody. You don't know how they're going to respond? You told me this, Lisa. Like, I can't control what other people do, right? I'm in charge for my actions. We talked about this in Bible class. You know what even God can't control? He can't control what you do either. He can't make you love Him. But I know that what I experienced was God steadfastly loved me even while I was making mistakes and even while I was His enemy. So if I'm thinking about reaching the lost, you know what I need to do? Use the same game plan. People are going to make mistakes. They are going to be my enemy. They're going to say things they might regret. A lot of them will never turn to God. They will continue to make bad decisions each and every day, and you'll beat your head against the wall and you're like, what are you doing? You're shooting yourself in the foot. Stop it. Guess what? That's ministry. Because the hope is, like Eric and Brenda, if this thing turns into one person that's saved, what? That's worth it. Because I'm not in charge of how people respond. I'm in charge of how I respond. So I'm going to take God's steadfast love and I'm going to reciprocate it to the world. All right. So today, next week, we're going to talk a little bit about, like, sometimes we forget what it's like to be lost. You know, maybe we've been saved for a long time, and you've got to remember how bad it was. And then we're going to talk about how good it is, and then we're going to talk about how we need to take that and move forward. Okay? Will y'all come back for the next several weeks? Hopefully. Okay, good. All right. All right. You're like, we'll see how today goes, Will. Okay. So here's my honest thing up front. Today, I'm going to spend probably 10 minutes of what can be the most atrocious backstory and framework that you've ever experienced. Okay? But we only got to do it this Sunday, and it will help every Sunday from here on out. Okay? Okay, guys? Okay, so y'all, I'm saying this lovingly. I need y'all to toughen up. I need you to listen. I need you to make this thing more interesting than I'm going to make it. But when you all nail these few things down, then we're going to get to, like, all right, let's make this application for today, and it's going to, like, knock it out of the park. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Okay. All right, here we go. Hosea. Let's go way back. All right. So y'all know, back in Genesis, God makes this promise to Abraham that he will have many descendants, right? And there's Abraham, and then he has his son Isaac, and then he has his son Jacob. And Jacob has how many children? 12. Y'all good? All right, that's like 1%. We got a wasted. Not really, it's not that bad. All right, so Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Jacob has 12 kids. So you know Jacob's other name, Israel, right? Let me say this one more time. If you all will really take this to heart the next 10 minutes, it will unlock your Old Testament Bible study the rest of your life. Okay, so try to pay attention. All right, so Jacob, also known as Israel, had 12 kids. Those become the 12 tribes. So when Israel is living, he has 12 kids. Well, Israel dies, Jacob dies. Those 12 kids grow up and they have kids. And so now one of those kids, now it's like Jacob has 200 grandkids. And then you go to great grandkids, he's got like 6,000 great grandkids, and then he's got like 89,000 great great grandkids. Y'all following? And you can trace it back to which tribe you are from. So Benjamin, Dan, Ephraim, Judah, whatever. Y'all following? Okay. In Genesis 49:10, Jacob is dying. He's coming to the end of his life. He takes his 12 kids in, and he goes down with each, like in a row. He goes with them and he kind of blesses them and kind of gives them a little bit of like almost a prediction of their future. It'd almost be like, so Laylee, I'm dying. I love you. You're so sweet. I'm dying, and I want you to know this. You are going to be so. I'm making this up. She's starting to frown. Yeah, This is all made up. Hey, you're going to be great at this. Keep doing this. Don't ever stop being this kind of a lady. One day you're going to do big and great things, right? And then it's like, okay, now Bogan, you're the next one, okay? So he's going through the 12 kids, and when he gets to Judah, he says, Judah, from your tribe, your descendants, will be all of the kings of Israel. The scepter, which is like a sword, and it's like ruler, right? It will never part from your tribe. Y'all following? Okay. So you follow Judah's tribe and you follow his lineage. Then you get to 1 Samuel 13:14. Now, the nation of Israel, they saw the other nations around them. They're like, hey, there's the king of England and there's the king of whatever. We want our own king. And so they pick a king. Remember what his name was? Saul. And he was Paul. Does he remember that? Big dude. They're like, oh man, he's head and shoulders above everybody else. He would make a great king. But guess which tribe he is not from? He is not from the tribe of Judah. Okay? So automatically, what should we be thinking? Bad decision. All right? He's from Benjamin. He's from the wrong tribe. And when they go to like, we're going to pick Saul, and do you remember where they find him? Where was he at? He was hiding. They go to find Saul to make him king. It's like, oh, that dude's tall. He could probably beat somebody up. And where's he at? He's hiding. You think he's going to make a good king? Like, hey, would you lead us? Like, that's a terrible choice. But when God is given his choice and he picks a man after his own heart, who does God pick? David. I think it's the most common name in the entire Bible, which is kind of interesting. Like, David's a big deal. Okay? Anyway, so God says, I'm going to pick y'all a king this time. Guess from which tribe? Tribe of Judah. He picks David. So David is the first king from the correct tribe. And 2 Samuel 7:16, so God's chosen the king, David from Judah, and David wants to build a physical house for God's ark. What's that thing called? Starts with a T. Temple. All right. We started out in the tabernacle, out in the wilderness, because it's like a pop-up tent. You take it apart and pop it, and okay. But now he's like, I want a permanent structure in Jerusalem for you. And God says to David, dude, I appreciate that, but y'all, David, you got to remember, dude, the earth is my footstool. Love you, man, but whatever you build me, what? It ain't going to be good enough, okay? Because I'm the creator of the entire universe. But you know what God says? He says, actually, you wanted to build me a house? He says, I'm going to build you a house. And then there's this show on, I think there's a show on Amazon, The House of David, right? Okay. Just say yes, guys. Like, yeah, sure, will. Whatever you think, man. All right, so God says, David, I'm going to build you a house. But it's not a physical house, it's a house of kings. So now we've gotten even more narrow. We went from the tribe of Judah to now we have God's pick for the first king is David. And now from here on out, if you're going to be a king, you're not just from the tribe of Judah, you're from whose lineage? David. Okay? Y'all following? I know this is not the most exciting thing. It will be worth it. Probably. Okay? All right. So David, God makes this promise. It's like what's the term he uses? A lamp. Like I will always leave a lamp burning. It will never go out. It's like the Olympics torch thing. You know what I'm talking about? Again, just say yes. Thank you, Jay. Just say yes and I'll move on. All right. So God says, like, I've started this flame and I will never blow it out. Okay? All right. Matthew 1:1-17. traces and proves the promised lineage from David to who? You can look at Jesus' heritage and you're like, okay, God's promised this Messiah is coming. He's going to be from the tribe of Judah, from the lineage of David. So anybody that claims to be the Messiah, what do you got to prove? You got to prove you're from the right tribe, and you got to prove that your great, 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 great grandfather is David, right? Can Jesus do that? Absolutely. That's what Matthew proves. He meets the criteria. And Luke says that Jesus, 1:26-33, is the last king that is going to sit on this throne, and he will sit on this heavenly throne for how long? Forever. So good. Such a great quote. Forever. So David has a kid. I thought about doing this, but I thought it might, you know what, we should do this. Hey, Joe, would you mind to come up here for a second? Josh, can you come up here for a second? Levi, can you come up here for a second? Y'all just stand right here in a row. Handsomest to ugliest. I didn't say which way it was going. I would start over here. Okay. All right. So y'all imagine this right here is not Joe. This is David. Okay. Man after God's own heart. You could work, Joe. You really could be a David. All right. Then David, Joe, has a son. Don't say Josh. Solomon. All right. I knew it. I knew you were going to do that. Wisest man that ever lived. Of course he said, wisest man that ever lived, right here. All right. So David has Solomon, and then Solomon has Rehoboam. The names were really cool till we got to here. Okay. So David, Solomon, Rehoboam. Y'all following? So God makes the promise. David, sorry, I'm touching y'all too much. David, I promise that from here on out, you're the first king that I've picked, and all of the kings will come from your descendants. Okay? He wanted to build the temple. What did God say? No. In fact, you've been a man of war, a man of bloodshed. I'm going to let your son build it. Who builds the temple? Solomon. Nobody said Josh. Y'all are on it. Solomon builds the temple, right? And then Solomon's son, Rehoboam, we're coming to him in a second. Okay, y'all can sit down. All right. So from now on, just remember, if I had Bobby or somebody super tall here, I was going to have him come up and be like, this is Saul. But then, it's okay. Okay. Everybody good? Just say you're good. Come on. All right. Everybody good? Okay. Okay. We're moving on. So when we get to the book of Hosea, this is what you need to remember. Saul was the first king that the people picked. Wrong tribe, terrible leader, that crashed and burned. God picks David. David has Solomon. Solomon has Rehoboam, right? Like, I don't think I really pictured this, but David's grandson, Levi, David's grandson, it takes that long for the kingdom to split into. That's terrible, but that's what happens. So it's going to split into two, into the north and the, okay, y'all, come on, guys, into the north and the, all right. So the north, I'm trying to color code it a little bit. This is why it's confusing. It's like, why would you call it this? But the north is called Israel. And so you're like, well, before when I was reading about Israel, we're talking about all 12 tribes, and now we're not. But it depends on where you're at in the timeline. So now in this timeline, you need to know that the north was split, and it took those 10 tribes. And do y'all see the name of the guy that started that kingdom? It starts with a J in yellow. Jeroboam. And you're like, are you kidding me? It sounds just like Rehoboam. Why? This is so confusing. This is why I hate reading, Jared. This is why, like, when I start reading, it's like all these different names. I'm like, you lost me. Make a movie out of it, and I'll watch it. Okay? But do you see what's next to the word right before Jeroboam? What is that word? No, you're right. You're right, captain. This is crazy. Okay? God says the kings will always come from your lineage, David. David has Solomon. Solomon has Rehoboam in red, the south. And one of Rehoboam's captains, who is not like from the tribe of Judah, he is not a descendant of David. Like just some random dude is like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to rebel and I'm going to take half the kingdom with me. and we're going to go start our own nation. So lovingly, if you picked, you know what, I think I'm going to be team North. How bad have you screwed up? Like, of the two choices, this guy's not even in the kings. He's not even in the lines of the kings. He's just a captain who rebelled, and he's like, I want to go start a nation. And not just that, but at least in the south, y'all see that city? They have the holy city of Jerusalem. At least in the south, what building is in Jerusalem? The temple. And at least in the south, they have the holy mountain of God. And at least in the south, they have what tribe? Judah. Like, good night. Like, if you're going to pick one of the two choices, you don't go north. Okay? You go with the south. Y'all need a breather? Leave us. I need some water. Okay. This is also like the kind of thing that Jesus will reference when he meets the woman at the well in John 4. And she's like, well, our people say that this is the correct mountain to worship on. You remember what Jesus says? No. Technically, the Jews do worship in the correct place with the correct mountain, but there's coming a day when none of that stuff will matter. And how will we worship God? In spirit and truth. Can y'all say spirit and truth? Okay. She was the what woman? The Samaritan woman. I remember the story of the Good Samaritan, and that's really shocking that a Samaritan would help somebody. The Good Samaritan Award. That's really shocking because you know who Samaritans are? They are Jews who split off to the north and they picked all of the wrong choices. And then they intermarried with Samaria, with foreigners, and now they are half-breeds. They're half-bloods. They're not even full-blooded Jews. That's why Jews, when you get to the New Testament, that's why Jews hate Samaritans. Because it's like, you picked the wrong side, and then you went and married with the enemy. You're not a real Jew. Make sense? Okay, fun little thing for you. Okay. All right. So there's Saul. First choice, not a good choice. David, that's God's choice. David's son, Solomon. And then Solomon's first son. All right, y'all need to memorize this chart by the time we get done. Okay? All right, so here is Judah, also known as the south. And here's Israel, also known as the north. All right, so there's Rehoboam. You know, that's like Levi, grandson. And there's, you know, son, and the next son, and the next son, and the next son. Okay, but over here on this side, it's like Jeroboam, he was just a captain. And then his son takes the throne, and then his son. And then there's like another captain comes in and says, rebel against that guy. Forget him. We're going to start our own thing. And then another captain, it's like, it's all just chaos from there on. Y'all following? So when we get to Hosea, Hosea is a prophet. This is also confusing. I hate this sort of thing. But Hosea is a prophet that God sends to the north. This is important. He sends it to the people that have the least reason to feel like they are God's chosen people. Does that make sense? You know the passage. While we were sinners and while we were enemies, okay? Nobody can say they deserted God more than the northern kingdom. When they divided, nobody can say, I'm going to do what I want to do. Make a new flag, stick it in the ground, I'm your enemy. And guess what God still does? While they were still enemies, what did God do? He's like, I love you. I'm going to send you Hosea. All right, so he's going to send Hosea. You know, you follow all these kings. This guy, it's under the reign of Jeroboam II. And that's confusing because it's like, it started out with Jeroboam, you know, and there's another Jeroboam. Okay, so this red line, that's where the Assyrians take over Israel and the whole kingdom's destroyed. Now they are captives in Assyria. Do y'all see down there? You see Daniel? So like when you read the book of Daniel, you know, and there's like Nebuchadnezzar and whatever, he is not in the northern kingdom when things are going well. He is in the northern kingdom once it has been destroyed, and they are captors to the Assyrians. Or over here, when you read Jeremiah, Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi, when you read those prophets, they are sent to the south once the south red line has lost to the Babylonians. Okay? I literally think this is the last slide of the boring stuff. Y'all following? Try. I know it's hard. Try. So, whenever the kingdom splits, David's grandson Rehoboam, right? When the kingdom splits, the south, at least they got the right city, you know? They got the right city, they got the temple, they've got the holy mountain of God, they've got where the 10 commandments are given, they got all that stuff, right? At least they've got the right stuff. Well, eventually what happens to both kingdoms? The ones that went AWOL and went north, they lost to the Assyrians, and the ones that went south, they also did not repent. They continued to sin, and what happened to them? They lost to the Babylonians, okay? And what the weird thing is, this is why like I get all weird about politics, is you know who sent the Babylonians and who sent the Assyrians to destroy the Israelites? God did. Because God doesn't care about kingdoms and borders and money and politics. He cares about people's soul. And if that means we're going to destroy the whole thing, destroy my temple, destroy this church building, I don't care. I need to give you a wake-up call because I care that you are saved, not that you are here. That was a good amen, guys. I care that you are saved, not that you are here, okay? All right. So Hosea is going during the time of Jeroboam II. The north is actually financially, they're really rich. They're doing well. And you know what happens when you're rich? You start to think you're okay. You get arrogant. You start to think you don't need God. And guess what is going on with the north? Okay. All right. Yeah. It's funny. I said, what you need to know. And I was like, nah, we'll just skip it. Not that important. What you really need to know. Nah, we'll skip it. Okay. All right. So Hosea's outline. Here we go. I try to make this really, really simple and concise. The first 3 chapters or so, God is going to send a prophet named Hosea, and he is going to marry this lovely woman named Gomer. Like Helga. Yeah. Like, yeah. Like she must have a unibrow and muscles. Anyway. All right. So Hosea is going to marry, I about said Helga. Hosea is going to marry Gomer. All right. But here's the catch. Do y'all know what kind of a woman Gomer is? What? Yeah, she works like in the adult industry. Like, really? That's that's who you want me to marry, God? And it's like, yeah, that's who I want you to go marry this lady. Okay? And then after there's this big illustration of the way that Hosea is married to this harlot, to this prostitute. After there's that big visual illustration, then it's like, okay, now set that aside. The rest of the book, this was all about me and Israel, about God being married to Israel. And guess what you did? You played the harlot. You ran around on me. You weren't faithful. Y'all following? Okay. Now, don't salivate too much at this next picture, okay? Doesn't that look good? Somebody just starts a chant. Potluck, potluck, potluck. Reagan, do you like chocolate cake? That's what I'm talking about. Glass of whole milk. So that's a girl after my own heart right there. Okay. So when the world looks tasty. Okay, so here's all right, that was all the history. Y'all made it, guys. Just give yourselves a round of applause, okay? Y'all made it through the tough part. You made it through the history. Now it's okay. Let's have a normal sermon, Will. Okay. So lessons from Hosea. Here's the first one. When the world looks tasty. Okay? Think about that. What is the world? It is what people without God have to offer. Can y'all just grasp that a little bit? Like the world. Who is that? It's what people without God have to offer. Okay? So like I'm going to go to the world cuz that looks good. Like just before you do that, remember who's selling this to you, okay? And it looks tasty. Y'all know what Satan did in the garden, right? I mean, he's like, Eve, have you seen that thing? You're going to want a bite of that. It looks delicious. John says the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes. What is the lust of the eyes? Looks, looks, looks. What was Saul? He was a good pick if you're looking at the lust of the eyes. Oh, he'll make a great king. No, no, no. Because godliness is not something that is flesh and blood, is it? What is godliness? It's a spiritual behavior. So when the world, the people that don't love God, then when they don't have God, when they look, when they offer something that is visually pleasing, tasty, and here's the weird part, okay, because most people won't say this, but I'm just that bold and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it, okay? Evil feels good. I said it. I'm sorry. Okay. Did somebody give me a mm-hmm? Give me that. Give me that. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I'm glad y'all are here, okay? I need some more. Yummy, yummy. All right. Look, if you eat chocolate cake, is it going to taste good? There's a reason why me and Reagan are going to like, ooh, I want some chocolate cake. There's a reason it tastes good. That doesn't mean it is good, right? I don't want to have to do the side profile and the jelly shuffle, okay? But like, just because it tastes good doesn't mean it is good. So the people that don't love God are good at visually selling you on something that does have a small bit of enjoyment. There's something yummy, there's something tasty about money. Like there is. There's something that's like when people love money, there's something about gossiping. Maybe it makes you feel a little good, makes you feel a little more confident in yourself. I've put them down. There's something that makes you want to go back for more alcohol, for more pornography, for more worry, for more anger, for more whatever. So when we talk about the world and what they have to offer, and we talk about being lost, guys, we have to be patient and we have to remember there's a reason why people are doing this. Like, here's what we don't need to say as Christians. I don't understand. I would never touch that, not in a million years. Like, I'm sorry. I'm glad you didn't. I did. And I wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't something about it that, what's that chemical? Dopamine. If I didn't get some sort of dopamine release, I promise you I wouldn't be doing it. I'm not addicted to water, am I? Wouldn't that be nice? Doctor, I need some help, man. I'm telling you. What's wrong, buddy? I think I need count. I'm addicted to water. Okay. You what? Okay. All right, now here's some fun, okay? Y'all know what is this, guys? That's a Big Mac. This is my like rural Kentucky. Love you guys. Good cultured people. We know what a Big Mac is, right? Can I ask y'all something? And I bet everybody in here is gonna what's the word? I want to say snicker. It's not snicker. Is that it? Snicker? Smirk? Whatever. Y'all are gonna laugh at this, okay? Sneered. Okay. Have y'all ever gone to Walmart, to McDonald's, gone through the drive-through, you said, I want a Big Mac. And when you open that box up, you get a Big Mac that actually looks like that. Anybody? Like, I have never actually opened the box up. And the thing that they put on TV, it's like, good night, that thing's like this tall, you know, to make it look better. All right, to my point, Amber's like, they stack that stuff with cardboard, like the pictures. If you go in there with this picture and you go in there and you're like, hey, is so and so working? Like, hey, come here real quick. By the way, can you make this for me real quick? Like, tell you what, I'm not going to pay for it until the one that you bring me looks like this. You know what's going to happen? They're going to bring you burger and burger and burger, and they're never going to do it. Okay? Now, what's my point? When the world looks tasty, did you guys know this? You know what Satan is the father of? He's the father of lies. You know what the world is good at? They are good at making things look tasty. If they did a McDonald's commercial with actual footage of the actual stuff that you get out of your box. You know what's going to happen to sales? Because the world is good at lying. Here's something else. You know what they never tell you? The total price with tax. Did y'all know that? We went to Cracker Barrel yesterday, and somewhere in Tennessee. I don't know. We're on our way back, and we're like, listen, I've been working hard this whole week. I deserve 3 pancakes. So we're like, let's go to Cracker Barrel. So we go to Cracker Barrel, and we order the stuff, and we get like whatever, like the Mama's special or whatever it is, the Uncle Herschel's. I forget what they're called. But anyway, and the waitress comes back, and I want you to listen to this. Okay, she comes back and she's like, by the way, the Uncle Herschel's are buy one get one free today. And I was like, whatever it's called, whatever it's called. I was like, I would like 2 Uncle Herschel's. She's like, you know what they're not advertising outside? What? You know why she whispered? Why? Okay. Because the world is good at making things look good. They're not going to tell you how much it's actually going to cost you. And the cost of calories is always in the fine print at the bottom. Like, well, we got to put this stuff on there. Okay, that's fine. We're going to put it in -38 font. And maybe if you print this thing off and put it on a jumbotron and get up there with a magnifying glass, you might actually see how much it's going to cost you in calories. We don't want you to know that. We don't want you to know that. We want you to know about it's going to taste good, right? And I got to be careful about giving my whole sermon away next week. But here's the bottom line: chocolate cake is good, but you can't eat chocolate cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, can you? Okay. Well, never mind. All right. All right. Let me stop with my rhetorical questions, because y'all are like, I'll answer it. Okay. God sent a prophet Hosea to marry a harlot Gomer to illustrate how he was being treated by his people. And so in a few more lessons, that's why we're going to talk about when Israel, the north, walks away from God, it makes God extremely angry, extremely mad, extremely disappointed, and then it actually makes him really sorry. You remember what happened at the flood? Remember what he said about creation? I wish I had never made it. Like, that could be like, I wish I never made you. But you know what that could also be? Like, I just shouldn't have made this. All I did was set him up for failure. Think about that. So God's angry, then God's sorry, and then he's like, I'm going to find a way to fix this. I'm going to find a way to be merciful. So we're going to look at God's emotions and God's reactions. And how about this? Some of this stuff you're going to see and you're like, that's 2,000 years. That's 3,000 years old. They didn't have internet back then. They didn't have bushwhacker. They didn't have the good stuff back then. Like, now it's different today. It seems like what they say is like, tomorrow is the same as today, just the same as yesterday. Like, there's not actually anything new. I'm the only person that's ever been through this. Okay, so y'all listen, this is stuff that's going on. When it describes the actual ways that the Israelites are being evil, there's getting drunk, there's living in harlotry, which a lot of times is not even marrying like God's people. It's just like marrying an extremely worldly woman from the Assyrians. There's practicing idolatry, which is like on the list of the 10 Commandments. You would think we wouldn't screw that one up. Nope. Practicing idolatry. How about corrupting leadership? That never happens. Power. What's that going to do? Yeah. All right. Corrupting leadership. How about anger that's smoldering? God's like, your anger, it's like you started a fire at night, and then you slowly stoke it through the whole night. If I'm not mistaken, I think we have a sign for that. Almost like we struggle with the same things that they did 3,000 years ago. Okay. So smoldering anger, moving a boundary. Yeah, okay. I was like, nah, whatever. And like, can y'all imagine this? Like, anybody in here like fairness? Y'all fairness? Fairness police? Come on. All right. Can you imagine you got that neighbor and he's got the property stake and he's just like, well, excuse me, can you, what would you do? He'd be like, you're nuts. That's not your property. You're trying to just steal land. That's my land. What are you doing? You know, the last person that you should expect to steal from other people is a child of God. And you know what the Israelites are doing? They're the kind of people that it's like, you move boundaries. You steal from each other. And then you've got following man's command. Man, this was that book that Jason gave me. Like fearing men. That's a problem, guys. Like it's a problem that I have. I'm getting a lot better at, but being afraid of what people think. Anybody here ever worry about what people think? Good night. Well, that's good. Um, I want that to happen sooner to me. I don't have to wait till I'm old, but that's good. I'm glad it's coming. So following God's command, you know what else the Israelites are doing? The type of people they were that made worthless oaths. Have y'all ever heard this? And I'm going to probably pick on myself here for just a second. It's so hard to find good work these days. You ever heard that? Like, man, these contractors, they said they were going to be there, and what? Nobody showed up. I had somebody call me the other day. I don't even remember who it was. Oh, somebody that Andrew went to church with, their friend, like just some like random person. And they're like, we've got all the cabinets out in the kitchen. We've got all the tile here. We've been waiting for 3 months for somebody to come in here and just put the tile in. We can't get anybody to show up. You know, that doesn't happen if you don't tell people what? I'll be there, right? It doesn't happen if you actually stick to what you're saying. And the Israelites were those kind of people that made worthless oaths, showing vain reverence. Like, this is just for show. This is just, I don't actually respect you, God. I'm just doing the stuff that looks like I respect you, and committing violence. And actually, probably more could be said about that. But y'all need to understand, there's nothing wrong with defending yourself, right? There's nothing wrong with like defending somebody else. But there's something to be said about like, oh, I just want to hurt people. Why? Just cuss. Not even with like justice, just like violent aggression. Okay. So then you get to, and you're like, man, this story could not really get worse. You're like, this story cannot really wrap it up. Good, it will. I don't. Come on, guys, y'all can laugh, okay? Y'all can laugh. Most everything's plugged in back there. It's staying warm. It'll be all right. Okay. So Gomer, Hosea's wife, gets pregnant 3 times. And you know what else it seems like it happens? She gets pregnant by other men. Now you imagine that for a second. Imagine God's call for your ministry is to go to the northern nation that has no business even existing, that is inevitably going to get destroyed. You're going to preach to deaf ears, and you're going to take a wife out of harlotry, out of the adult industry, and while she's married to you, she's going to bear children that are not yours. All so that this can be an illustration of what the Israelites are doing to God. So 3 kids. The boy, Jezreel, for yet a little while. This is why you're going to call him this name. You're going to call him a bad name. Like, oh, you're having a baby. What's your baby's name? Loser. Like, why would you do that? Why would you call your baby a loser? You know, like, man, it's terrible. You said another kid. What's the second kid's name? It's like, adultery. You're like, sheesh. Like, man, y'all got problems. All right, Jezreel. What does that name mean? For yet a little while, and I will punish the house of Jehu for the bloodshed of Jezreel, and I'll put an end to the kingdom of the house of Israel. Second one, I will no longer have compassion on the house of Israel. I would ever forgive them. Third one, you are not my people, and I am not your God. That's what you're going to name these 3 kids to make it that powerful and important that they understand that it's like, I cannot stand what you are doing. If you love your kids, you will show them getting upset at sin. That's a lesson for another day. All right. Okay. All right. And here's what happens when I don't trust God. Listen to these verses. This is Old Testament, which blows my mind because I'm like, oh, this must be a New Testament thing because Old Testament doesn't apply anymore. Listen to this. When I don't trust God, here's the kind of stuff that happens. Chapter 10, verse 13. God says, you have plowed wickedness, you have reaped injustice, you have eaten the fruits of lies because you have trusted in your way and in your numerous warriors. Anybody ever trust in themselves? Anybody ever been let down by yourself? Like, yeah, I got this. I'll be good. Don't check on me. I'll be fine. I'm a big boy. I know my limitations. And then what happened? How about 12:18? Ephraim, remember that it's just another name for the north because it's like one of the 10 tribes that followed Jeroboam. Ephraim has said, but I'm rich. I have found wealth for myself, and all my labors, they cannot find in me iniquity or sin. So two things here. Two things. One of them is bank account's looking pretty good. I think I'll be all right. Anybody ever had that fall through? Like, you ever been around a rich person and it's like, you're not happy. You're the most uncontent. Is that the right? In discontent. Thank you. You're the most discontent person I've ever seen. You say your money provides you with security, but you act like everyone's a threat. Oh, I'm good. I've got riches. And how about this other thing? You can't find in me iniquity or sin. Have you ever been around somebody who lives in denial? Is that an acronym? What is that? That's pretty good. Isn't that good? Like, have you ever been around somebody that's like, you can't even find sin in my life. I don't need God. I am fine. Okay, here's another one. 5:13. When Ephraim saw his sickness, okay, so maybe you're like, I'm struggling a little bit. And Judah saw his wound. You know what where they went? Ephraim went to Assyria and sent to the great king. And these are words from the Bible, guys. These are words from the Bible. This is what God says. But he is not able to cure you or heal your wound. Have you all ever seen people struggling in life and they go to the world for answers? That's nuts. Because the world doesn't know God. And the advice that they're going to give you is not from God. If you want to fix spiritual problems in your life, you need to go to the spiritual creator, author, maker, guy in charge. Even his own people, when they finally were like, man, we're having some problems, you know what they're like, why don't we go ask the Assyrians what we should do? Like, oh my word, this is so terrible. This is so terrible. Why don't you ask your loving father? All right, and then lastly, they made kings, but not through me. They set up princes, but I knew not. With their silver and gold, they made idols for their own destruction. They're going to do what they want to do. Okay? And so then here's we got two more sides. This one and the next one, but we're done, okay? Y'all need to. Jerry's like, all right, this is it, guys. This is good. I mean, this part's bad, but it's good stuff. Okay, so when you get to chapter 3, the Lord said to me, to Hosea, go again, love a woman who is loved by her husband. Like, husband loves her. But you know who she is? She's an adulteress. Even as the Lord loves the sons of Israel, though they turn to other gods and love raisin cakes. You're like, what in the world's that about? Okay, remember the picture about chocolate cake? All right, forget what Lisa said, okay? But like, chocolate cake's good, right? You know what the world has to offer? Like, we will give you 24/7 chocolate cake. But in that Jordan Peterson quote I told at the men's meeting, okay, well, why don't you eat chocolate cake all the time? Like, actually breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Why not? Well, because after a while, it doesn't taste good. Because it makes me feel bad. Because I start to see results I don't like. Because, right? That's what God is saying. I've never had a raisin cake. It sounds kind of gross. But apparently back then, top notch. And maybe it's like an oatmeal raisin cookie. I like those. I like those, especially warm and gooey out of the oven. Glass of milk, again, delicious. And God says the Israelites, you go marry a woman out of adultery. She's a harlot because the Lord loves the sons of Israel, even though they turn to other gods and they love, well, those country, they've got raisin cakes. Like they've got a candy shop. You can only eat candy for so long, guys. I mean, like, if that's your only source of food. Okay. And then he says, so Hosea bought her for myself. Now pause. Don't read any further. Y'all think about this just a second. If you're going to go buy a woman, think about where she's at. Is that a good amen? Bad amen. I'm not going to talk about that. So I don't want to get in trouble. Lisa, like, she looks like she could throw some square bells. I don't want to. I don't want to get on her bad side. Okay. If you're going to go buy a woman back then, all right, she is going to be on the market. Okay. She's going to have been purchased repeatedly, right? And you know what's happening now? She's gone up for auction, and they're like, you know, $45,000, 45, 46, 46,000, and nobody's biting. Like, okay, $22,000, 22, $21,000, and they're like, nobody's biting. And they're like, $45, 46, 47, and like, nobody's biting. What does that mean? She has passed her prime. She is used up and useless for the male commodity. And God says, Hosea, you go buy her. And you go buy her for yourself at that price. And that price in pink is less than half the price of a slave in the Old Testament. Like, oh man, God needs me. I'm worth so much. God does not need you. And the stuff that you do hurts your value, right? And even when you're an enemy to God, and you know what happens to the world? Like for a while, they're selling you the stuff, right? And you're buying it, and like, man, we are buddies. And you know what eventually happens to the world? The world turns on you. They have squeezed every drop they can out of you. And now what? I don't want anything to do with you. You're useless to me. You brought me money. You brought me something. But now, no, you're past your prime. You're older. You're ugly. You got kids. You got all these. No, 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 no. I don't want none of that. You're not, no. And nobody will buy her. Nobody will buy Gomer. And the only person that's still shopping at the market is who? Her husband that she left. Let me tell you something else to think about. Where have those 3 kids been? Those 3 kids have been at home with dad. Except it's not their dad, actually, is it? So Jose has been at home taking care of the kids that aren't his while his wife is out running around. And he goes to buy her. And what does everybody think about his wife? Nobody wants her. That's the conditions of his love to take her back. What do you think the lesson is there? So, last slide. Here's what I want y'all to take away. This is like your little, if you want to write this down or text it to yourself or just remember it, I don't care. But be watchful. Evil isn't advertised as a bad decision. Y'all need to watch out. God, Satan is good at what he does. The stuff that he advertised, he does not advertise as a bad decision. When we were eating dinner the other night, we had some seafood. It was really good. And, like on the menu, you've got like grouper, $17 or whatever, and whatever, popcorn shrimp, $12. And if you want a po' boy, and you know what I'm talking about? And then there's um, fresh catch of the day. You know what that price was? Market price. And you know what happens if you don't talk to them? As my mother-in-law came to find out, you're like, I want the fresh catch of the day. Awesome. If you don't ask any questions, you know what you're going to get? Whatever the fresh catch of the day was, like, you know, half bit into catfish or something. I don't like it. Can be anything that they caught today. And then you know what market price is? Whatever they want to make it. And you don't know what that price is until you get to the end, do you? And you get the bill and you're like, well, I mean, if you can, come work in the kitchen for a little bit, or, you can try and fix it. But you said you wanted this. Well, you didn't tell me how much it was. Well, you didn't ask. Be watchful. Evil isn't advertised as a bad decision. Be patient. Some portion of evil is enjoyable. And I'm not trying to encourage people to do evil. I am trying to encourage you to be patient with people. Like, we should never be surprised that the world acts like the world. Can you guys please give me an amen on this one? Okay. Do not be upset at the world for acting like the world. Amen. That is not an excuse, but it is like, that's what they know. That's what they do. And even with Christians, like, we don't ever need to be like, I cannot believe that Will said that one time he would ever. You should. You should totally believe that. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the whole story again because I know y'all are starving, okay? Y'all know the story about that I told y'all about stealing from the mall, and I stole some DVDs. Remember what I said was in the other pocket? I remember money. It's like I had money that Dad gave me to buy stuff, and I still was like, I mean, it was bad, right? Do y'all know that story embarrassing? I'm just poll real quick. Is that story embarrassing to you guys? If you all stole stuff and were arrested, would you all be embarrassed to tell that story to the church? Okay? That's the stuff I'm not embarrassed to tell you about. What does that mean? I'm not going to tell you what Jared said. Let's lay back. Can I tell him what you said about what happened on Mother's Day? Is that too private? I said it out loud. You said it out loud. You know what? Jared, tell him what you did on Mother's Day back when you stole money from your mom's purse, right? To get drugs, right? Now listen, Jared, and I'm saying this, and I mean this in a respectful way, okay? That's the stuff that Jared's not embarrassed to tell me about. I know you got worse stuff in that closet. You know what? You know what else? I do too, right? Like, I'm just telling y'all about stuff I'm not embarrassed to tell you about. We don't need to be surprised that Christians are screw up failures, selfish. What is it? I mean, just selfish morons, black-hearted, all that terrible stuff. Because we came from where? The world. And we came from walking in the dark and from serving the father of lies. Do not ever feel like you are in foreign company if you have evil in your life. That's what this church building is fighting against. Amen, church? Like, everybody has got terrible, awful, bad stories. Like, I would never suspect that sweet old whatever. You should. You should suspect that people have committed terrible spiritual crimes in this church because we were part of the world. All right, I'm really getting too preachy. Okay. Third one, be encouraged. There is not a new sin. You're not alone. That's a really big deal. Number 4, be careful. You can't save your own self. Like, you can't, guys. I can't do it on my own. If I could do it on my own, I wouldn't need Jesus, would I? You can't do it on your own. Be prepared. People without God will act ungodly, and be honest, the world will turn on you. It's going to be nice for a little bit. It will be. There's a part of it, there's a reason why people go back for it. But there's also a reason why people don't do it 24/7. Because there's some kind of consequence. There's something about it they don't like. They wish they couldn't do. Man, we've covered a lot of ground. Look at all that. Sheesh, guys. Next Sunday, it's going to be a lot shorter. It's going to be a lot shorter. We're starting the whole thing over, Jared. How about that? When the world's food just doesn't fill me. That's going to be next week, okay? Guys, the world's food doesn't fill you. It just doesn't. It doesn't fill me. There's only one thing that fills me, and that's the bread of life. That's Jesus Christ. We're going to stand and sing God is love. If you're here today and you've been provoked by the message of Hosea, and you've been provoked that God does love you and being in sin is not fun and it's not fulfilling, won't you let your need be known as together we stand and sing?